A waiter steps off a city bus in a quiet Norwegian town. Snow on the rooftops. A pregnant woman beside him. The two of them walking home in the dark from a movie. He is humming. He has no idea that two cars are idling at the curb, that strangers have been watching him for days, that somewhere a file with his face on it has already marked him for death. The doors open. The shots come fast, more than a dozen of them, and the humming stops. The men disappear into the night, professionals, ghosts, and they are certain, absolutely certain, that they have just killed the most wanted terrorist alive. They were wrong. They had killed the wrong man. However, to understand how a team of the most disciplined operatives on Earth could make a mistake that catastrophic, you have to understand the unit they reportedly belong to. A unit so secretive that the government it serves will neither confirm nor deny that it exists. A unit, according to multiple published accounts, built around a single, brutal idea: one job. If you have ever wondered what it actually takes to hunt a human being across continents, hit the subscribe button now, because this is the story of Kidon, pronounced Kidon, the bayonet at the very tip of the spear. The word itself is the first clue. In Hebrew, Kidon means bayonet, or the sharpened point of a spear. It is not a flattering name, and it is not meant to be. A bayonet has exactly one purpose. It is the part of the weapon that goes into the target. Reportedly, the people who chose that name were not interested in poetry. They were interested in precision. According to published accounts, Kidon is the operational arm buried inside a division of Israel's Foreign Intelligence Service. Mossad, a division known as Caesarea, pronounced Caesarea, and Caesarea is where the deepest, darkest work is said to live. But who actually fills the ranks of a unit like this? You do not advertise for it. There is no recruiting office, no poster, no application form sitting on a desk. Instead, according to multiple accounts, the candidates are pulled quietly from the elite of an already elite world. Israel's Special Forces. The most commonly named source is Sayeret Matkal, pronounced Sayeret Matkal, the reconnaissance unit whose former members have included future prime ministers. These are people who have already survived selection that breaks most soldiers. And reportedly, only after all of that do the recruiters come for them, with an offer that does not exist on paper. Picture the training, because the training is where the legend hardens into something colder. Long-distance shooting until the motion is automatic. Surveillance and counter-surveillance, learning to follow a target through a crowded market, and learning to feel when you yourself are being followed. Forgery, disguise, the ability to walk into a foreign airport on a passport that is not yours, with a name that is not yours, and a face the cameras will never quite remember. Reportedly, operatives are taught to blend so completely that the most dangerous thing about them is how forgettable they appear. A tourist, a businessman, a waiter even. And here is a detail that gets lost in the action movie version of all this. According to multiple accounts, the people at the sharp end are rarely the whole operation. Around a single hit, reportedly, sits a web of support. The watchers who establish a target's pattern of life, where he eats, when he walks, which door he uses. The logisticians who arrange the safe houses, the rental cars, the routes in and the routes out. The forgers back home who build the documents. The bayonet is what the public sees, but a bayonet without an arm behind it is just a piece of metal on a table. The unit, in other words, is said to be far larger than the few who pull a trigger, and far quieter. There is also the matter of conscience, because these are not machines. According to published accounts from former intelligence officers, the question of who gets approved and how sits at a very high level. Reportedly, there are committees, sign-offs, a chain of authorization meant to keep a single angry man from becoming a death warrant. Whether that machinery always works is precisely the thing Lillehammer will force us to confront. But it is worth holding in mind that the people involved have, in interviews given decades later, described the weight of it. Not as boasting, as a kind of permanent residue. And that brings us to the operation that made the legend, and the operation that nearly destroyed it. In September of 1972, the world was watching the Olympic Games in Munich, West Germany. Athletes from across the globe, a celebration meant to rise above politics. Then, in the dark hours, a Palestinian militant group called Black September climbed the fence into the Olympic Village. By the time it was over, 11 Israeli athletes and coaches were dead. The images went around the planet. A masked man on a balcony, a burned-out helicopter at an airfield. A nation watched its own people murdered on live television. and a nation decided that it would answer. What followed is, according to published accounts, the operation called Wrath of God. The order, attributed to the highest level of the Israeli government, was direct. Find the people responsible for Munich. Find the planners, the financiers, the organizers of Black September scattered across Europe and the Middle East, and eliminate them, one by one, wherever they could be found. This is where the modern reputation of Mossad's targeted killers was reportedly forged, in cafes in Rome, in apartment lobbies in Paris, in phone booths rigged to explode. A campaign of patience and violence that, according to multiple accounts, ran for years. The method, as it has been reconstructed, was deliberate to the point of cruelty. Reportedly, the targets were not simply ambushed in the street whenever convenient. They were studied, watched for weeks. A man's habits were mapped until the team knew the exact moment he would lift a telephone receiver, or open his own front door, or step into the lobby of his building. And then, according to multiple accounts, the strike was timed to that moment, so precise that it carried a message as much as a function. The message was that there is no door thick enough, no city far enough, no alias clean enough. The patience itself was the weapon. The fear it spread, reportedly, was the second weapon, and arguably the one that mattered more. Now, if you have made it this far, you are already one of us. Cadets get every video 24 hours early and a badge in the comments. The link is below. Here is where you have to hold two ideas at once, and this is the part most retellings skip. Almost everything about Wrath of God is attributed, alleged, reconstructed from journalists and from defectors and from accounts that the Israeli state has never officially endorsed. Israel does not hand out mission logs. It neither confirms nor denies. So when you hear that a particular man was killed in a particular lobby by a particular unit, understand that you are hearing a story assembled from the outside, and that the people who could confirm it have spent 50 years refusing to. That uncertainty is not a weakness in the telling. It is the whole point of how a unit like this is said to operate. The deniability is the product. But the campaign of Wrath of God was not flawless. And to its credit, history did not let the failure stay buried. Go back to that snowy Norwegian town. The place is Lillehammer, pronounced Lillehammer, and the year is 1973. A team operating in Norway had been hunting one specific name above all others. A man reportedly called the Red Prince, Ali Hassan Salameh, pronounced Sa-la-meh, believed to be a chief architect of the Munich massacre. According to published accounts, the team received intelligence that placed Salameh in this quiet town, living under cover. They watched a man who fit the description. They followed him, they built their certainty, and then, on a dark street, they shot and killed him in front of his pregnant wife. The man they killed was named Ahmed Bouchiki, pronounced Bouchiki. He was a Moroccan waiter. He had no connection to Black September, no connection to Munich, no connection to anything except the terrible accident of resembling someone the Watchers wanted to find. He was, by every account, an innocent man. And then the operation came apart. This is what makes Lillehammer the most honest chapter in the entire Kidon story. The team did not vanish cleanly. Norwegian police, working fast, traced a rental car, then an address, then a web of people. Several members of the team were arrested. Some were tried, some were convicted and imprisoned. The mythology of the silent, untraceable ghost ran straight into the reality of a small-town police force doing competent work, and the ghost bled. According to multiple accounts, the affair was a profound embarrassment, the kind that forces an intelligence service to look hard at how it confirms a target before it pulls a trigger. One job, and in Lillehammer, the one job was done to the wrong human being. Why does that matter so much? Because any channel can tell you the highlight reel, the clean kills, the operations that worked. The truth of a unit like this lives in the failures, in the waiter on the snowy street, in the agents behind bars, in the apology and the compensation that, reportedly, came decades later. A spear has a tip, and a tip can be aimed at the wrong target by men who were absolutely sure they were right. That is the cost that the name Kidon carries, whether the unit's defenders like it or not. So what happened to the legend after Lillehammer? Did it fade? According to published accounts, no. The reputation only deepened, and it surfaced again in the most documented operation ever attributed to this kind of unit, decades later, and a world away from the snows of Norway. The place this time is Dubai, in the United Arab Emirates, and the year is 2010. The target is a man named Mahmoud al-Mabhouh, pronounced al-Mabhouh, a senior figure in the militant group Hamas, found dead in his room at a luxury hotel. At first, it looked like natural causes, but Dubai's police, led by a determined chief, did something that no intelligence service in the world had planned for. They pulled the hotel's security footage, all of it, from the airport, from the lobbies, from the elevators, from the corridors, and what the cameras showed turned the old image of the invisible assassin inside out. Reportedly, a team of more than 24 people had flowed through that hotel, men and women, some in tennis gear, some wheeling luggage, some loitering near elevators, all moving in a quiet choreography around a single room. They wore wigs. They carried fake passports, many of them cloned from the identities of real, innocent citizens of other nations, which set off a diplomatic firestorm of its own. The Dubai police compiled the footage into a public video and released it to the world. The faces of the alleged operatives went global. Now, the State of Israel has never confirmed that Kidon or Mossad or any of its services carried out the al-Mabhouh operation. It is, as always, attributed and alleged, denied by silence. But here is the deeper lesson sitting inside that grainy hotel footage. The era of the untraceable ghost may be ending. A unit reportedly built to vanish was, in Dubai, recorded frame by frame, its tradecraft preserved on a hard drive, its faces studied by every counterintelligence service on Earth. The bayonet still found its target, but the world, for the first time, got to watch the hand that held it. That is the paradox of Kidon as the public understands it. A unit whose entire value is invisibility, operating in a century where invisibility is dying. Cameras on every corner, biometric passports, facial recognition that does not forget a face the way a human bystander does. The very thing that once made these operatives terrifying, the ability to be no one, is the thing the modern world is engineered to strip away. Think about what the Dubai footage actually cost, beyond the embarrassment. Reportedly, the passports cloned for that operation belonged to real people living in Britain, in Ireland, in Australia, in Germany, ordinary citizens with no idea their names had been stitched onto fake travel documents. When the story broke, those governments were furious. Diplomats were summoned. Officials were expelled. A single operation, however clean on the ground, had reached out and damaged relationships with allies who had nothing to do with any of it. According to multiple accounts, that is the new arithmetic of the targeted killing. The bullet may hit one man, but the fallout now travels at the speed of a news cycle, and it lands on capitals that never agreed to be part of the plan. The tip of the spear, it turns out, can cut the hand that throws it. So here is the question worth arguing about in the comments, and I genuinely want to know where you land. Given Lillehammer, given an innocent waiter shot dead on a certainty that turned out to be false, and given Dubai, where the whole team ended up starring in a police video for the planet to see, is a unit built around one job, a single ruthless purpose, still an asset in this century? Or has the age of cameras and cloned passports turned the tip of the spear into a liability, a relic of a quieter time that can no longer move without being seen? Make your case below. Tell me whether precision still beats exposure, or whether the ghost is already dead and just does not know it yet. The best argument, for or against, gets pinned. And if you want the rest, understand what we have to leave on the cutting room floor. Official members get the parts that do not survive the public versions. The names and the details we cut before publish. The door is below. Because with a subject like this, where a government will neither confirm nor deny, where the only honest verdict is reportedly and attributed, and according to multiple accounts, the gap between what is published and what is whispered is the whole story. A bayonet, after all, is only as good as the hand that aims it. And in Lillehammer, on a street full of snow, that hand was shaking.